So after a pretty successful venture to Twickenham with the Barbarians, how is this France team going to hold up in Japan? What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. Today we're going to be continuing our series, taking a look at the teams that have been announced for the July internationals. Today's turn is going to be France. Now, France, of course, had their little Barbarians team created, went over to Twickenham, had a really convincing game for a lot of new starters, a lot of new names that I wasn't used to, a lot of players coming back from injury. They went down to 14 men, all very exciting, all on a match report. If you want to check that out, feel free to watch the whole video on that, get a bit more of a breakdown about that. Now, a lot of those names are actually going to be included in this France team, which I'm really looking forward to see some of these new lads' names that I don't know getting onto this pitch, especially a team like Japan, who are absolutely up for playing a bit of expansive rugby. I think there could be some really fun tri-fest games going on here. So what we'll be doing, as we've always done in these videos, we'll check the team over there for you guys so that you can see the team along with me. Unfortunately, France's Twitter page didn't give us these graphics. They're in order. They are forwards and backs, but they're going to be a bit muddled up to try and get all in there at the same time. So we'll sort of have to run through the list of names and then talk a bit more afterwards, as opposed to necessarily doing the props and the hookers and what have you, as we've done in the past. So starting off with the forwards, then we've got Aldegheri, Bamba, Bourjari, Dylan Cretin, Ibrahim Diallo, who's a name I don't know, looking forward to see a bit more from him. Falatea Flamand, Jean-Baptiste Gross, Matthias Haddad. Again, another name I don't know. I think there's an awful lot of new names in here that are going to be new to me. Really looking forward to see what this new French team is going to be. Thomas Jones, Thomas Lecayat, Thomas Lavaux, I'm going to guess, sort of like Renault. I'm trying to think of like the spelling there. Sekou Makalu, Mau Vaca, Charles Olivon, who played absolutely amazingly in that Barbarians game. Nice to see him getting into the side. Perchot, Pisquet, Prisso, Swan Rebage getting in here. I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more from him. Really haven't seen a lot from him. Johan Tonga. Now, this is the lad that was playing in the Barbarians team, who I'd never heard of. As long as it's the same guy I'm thinking of, he plays number 8, is a bit of a monster. Really looking forward to seeing him. A couple of Tolafuas. I don't know if they're brothers or related or just the same surname. And then finally, Bastien Vernies Tylefer? I'm going to guess. I'm sorry, the pronunciation is going to be terrible. There is an awful lot of names in these forwards who I absolutely have never heard of. I'm sure if you're big into your top 14 and what have you, you will know probably far more about a lot of these players than me. In terms of the forwards then, it's really hard for me to do this video today because there's so many new names to me. Obviously, we've got a couple of names in there that we do know the likes of, people like Jean-Baptiste Course, Demba Bamba, who's nice to see. He's always getting into this team. I just want to see him just settle down his game a little bit. I really love Bamba. I'd like to see him do a little bit more. Aldegheri getting back in the team, I'm looking forward to see a bit more from. Mau Vaca is also making waves. Now, would Mau Vaca be in a starting team, potentially? Because there's a couple of big names missing here. There's every chance I could see Mau Vaca actually starting this. Would be really nice to see. Swan Rebage, I'm looking forward to see a bit more from again, because he does get into this international team. He just doesn't necessarily get as much game time as a couple of the other players. So looking forward to see a bit more from him. Flamand, the speedy boy who used to play winger, I believe, and then moved into the forwards pack. So nice to see him in there. Sekou Makalu and Charles Olivon and Tonga, all three of them playing in that Barbarians game, and all three were pretty instrumental, especially in that second half. They did really well. Of course, we saw the likes of Charles Olivon getting over for a try. Makalu was just sprinting down the wing. Really nice to see from some of these lads. This is a speedy side, considering that, you know, they're talking about forwards here. France really have a lot of speed, and when you've got people like your Sean Edwards locking down your defence, you can afford to sit back, absorb a sponge defence, and then just unleash speedy players. I don't think it's a bad move at all. But as for a lot of the new names, yeah, my guess is going to be as good as your guys' comments, to be honest. There's an awful lot of new names here. Obviously now Japan, I would say, have fallen a bit in the recent years or so. Of course, everyone looks back now to the South Africa-Japan game. Of course, that was now 7 years ago. We look ahead to 2019, where they had a really good World Cup. Was very, very impressed with some of their wins they had in that. However, since then, they have begun to fall off. We did see them play against like the Lions. It felt like the Lions weren't even really trying that hard and got quite a convincing win. We've seen them play Ireland since then. Ireland absolutely dominated them. So Japan are going through a bit of a turnover phase, so I don't think it's a surprise we see so many new caps and so many lesser cap players come into this French side. If you have a team like Japan for a couple of games, you might as well get them on, get them used to the world of international rugby, get their confidence up a bit, because I can see France potentially winning every game against Japan. I mean, it's early days for now, but I've got a feeling France probably have a really good shout. In terms of the backs then, also some new names for me to get used to here. Baget, Bourros, Carbonell, who did get his try. It was really nice to see Carbonell getting back into a side when he was playing for the Barbarians. Baptiste Couriou, who, again, also played really well. Again, he's absolutely not up there as like the first string. When you have people like Antoine Dupont playing, you're not going to be getting into the side as a starting scrum half, but I thought he played really well from the Barbarians. Nice to see him getting a chance. Julien Favre, Hastoy got in. Now, Hastoy played okay for the Barbarians. He also got himself a try, which was nice. Kicking wasn't the best, not going to lie. Hastoy's kicking could have been better. We saw George Cruz getting more kicks than Hastoy was getting. And a couple of passes from over the shoulder. There were a couple of chances that went absolutely begging when Hastoy was in there. So, getting used to a bit of international game time, I don't think it's a bad move, but I'm not sure if I would have him there as my first choice, just from what I've seen. I've only seen him play one game, so I could absolutely be wrong there. Mathieu Jalibert getting into the side. Nice to see him coming back in. Now, he's gone through little waves of being sort of the first choice fly half and then sort of demoted when Entomac was back and then Entomac was playing centre. A couple of different things. Jalibert, nice to see. Looking forward to seeing him have a bit more game time. Try and get cementing in that position. Melvin Jaminet, of course, the big boot of Jaminet. Nice to see. So they've got a couple of sprinklings of some higher cap players in here just to try and help them along. Le Garec, who's a name I don't know. Matthias Lebel, Lebrun, Luc, Lucu, Mofana, Damien Penaud, of course, he had to be in this side. Damien Penaud was playing out of his skin in that Barbarians game. He got my man of the match, even though he didn't get it in the actual game. I thought he played absolutely brilliantly. Rybira, Max Spring, someone I'm really looking forward to see more in terms of... I mean, the fullback position for France is so dominated. There's so many top quality fullbacks in France at the minute. Spring seems to be a bit more of a counter running one. I'll say that I guess like Dulan is also quite a counter attacking player as well. But Max Spring, what we got to see from him was absolutely fabulous. High speed player, finding those gaps, counter run. Don't kick the ball to that guy. Don't kick the ball to him. You won't be punished. And then finally we got Vakatawa and Tani Vili. So again, a lot of new names in there, but a couple of experienced players. So we'll have a bit of a run through some of the different positions. So in terms of scrum half, for me personally, it's going to be Lucu or Couriou, I think, for your starting scrum half there. Not sure about French club level teams where everyone's come from, unfortunately. I'm absolutely never going to claim to be the most versed in French club level rugby. So I'm not sure about who's going to play with who in terms of like halfback partnerships. Maybe some of these lads play at the same level at club level. But, Hastoy, Jalibert, Carbonell, three different players there in terms of fly half. Again, I think there's a bit of ranging ability there in different players. Hastoy, I didn't necessarily impress me the most. Carbonell looked good when he came on, but Jalibert's got a little bit more experience, I would say, now in terms of the modern day. I mean, Carbonell's been around for a good while, actually, in terms of French international, but doesn't get the game time that we've seen from Jalibert in the last sort of 2 years, I would say. So Jalibert might well be the first pick there. In terms of centre, I mean, God, doesn't everyone want Vakatawa in? Could you go for Vakatawa and Mofana as your centre partnership there, maybe? I believe Mofana is very capable of doing inside and outside centre. Vakatawa, we tend to see outside centre. I would probably say more. I'm trying to think off the top of my head now. I've double questioned myself. So maybe I'd be looking there. And then in terms of your back three, I mean, a lot of names here. Damien Penaud would absolutely be in my starting three there. Do you go for Jaminet or Spring? You know what? I'd want to see more from Spring. I think Jaminet's your top guy in that fullback position. I think it would make sense to go for Jaminet, but I really want to see more from Max Spring. I want to see what he's got to offer. So for me personally, I might go Damien Penaud on the right wing, Max Spring at fullback, and in terms of left wing, does Lebel play left wing? I mean, to be fair, I know Penaud isn't that judgy about moving to different wings. So, but when I think of him, I tend to think of a right wing. I think Lebel's capable of playing left wing. I think that's probably what I would be going for. But again, a couple of these new player lads could absolutely come in. New caps always come onto the pitch and absolutely blow my knowledge out the water. So looking forward to see a few of them going on. But in terms of the team as a whole, this is probably the sort of range you'd be expecting. I'm genuinely surprised there is this many players that I don't know a lot about, in all honesty. I cannot believe the French international depth of squad is so big that they can bring a 42-man team out, and there must be at least 13, 14 of these players I've never even heard of. That is quite surprising. I'm not sure if all of these lads will be new caps and stuff. I haven't been able to look up just, who's new starter, who's uncapped players and stuff. But there's an awful lot of new names. This is a real big depth they now have in France going towards that World Cup. This is the perfect series to be doing this. Going up against Japan, I would be expecting France wins. No disrespect to Japan, but they're not quite on the form they were back in 2019. France have just won a Six Nations. They've looked really good. They've played that Barbarians team in Twickenham. Granted, not all French players, a couple of Georgian lads in there, but you just swap in 2 or 3 players out, you've got almost the same team you were seeing in that Twickenham game, beating not a bad England team, certainly probably a second string England team, but there was a couple of big names in there as well, and they made that game look relatively easy, to be honest. So I don't think this is a bad move. I'd be expecting French wins. I am going to be really looking forward to see just where this team moves on. I'm really looking for, I imagine what we'll probably see for the first game, we might see a pretty on-it France team. You might be seeing a lot of the bigger names with a couple of new lads on the bench. If that's a very convincing win, you'll probably see in that second game, then they'll probably put on a lot of the new lads, get some experience of international rugby. Japan are by no means a walkover team. I think if you go back 15 years or so, maybe they'd be a bit of a walkover team. But currently they're up for a game. They've got a bit of competition behind them. They've got some results in the past to back them. They'll play the game. They'll absolutely go for you. But I would just like to see France nail this. I think for me, what I want to be seeing, a couple of these new lads take the absolute opportunity to finally get into this team, try and get a bit of a grasp on the game. Sean Edwards will be no doubt wanting low score being conceded. I would be wanting these lads to be conceding probably 15 or less in a game. And I imagine Sean Edwards would be 0. Do not concede. So I think that's where they'll go. Obviously, there's a number of big names not in this team. Absolutely makes sense. You probably just don't need them. I feel like it would have been nice to have seen potentially a couple of names getting back in here again. Not 100% sure of injuries and stuff. I would potentially like to see a bit more from Julin. I feel like Julin has fallen off the scene a little bit because Jaminet has sort of taken over in that fullback position. But again, I would imagine Jaminet is going to that World Cup. Unless something drastic happens, I imagine he's probably going to that World Cup. Julin seems to be on and off, whether he will get there. I think Max Spring will be fun. Maybe I would want another attacking winger in there, so on. Maybe someone like Villiers could get back into this squad or something. I'm not sure on the likes of like Teddy Thomas. I'm just thinking more about the backs, to be honest. I mean, the French forwards, the standard 1-8 we saw in that Six Nations, that was just the same every single week. That front 8 is absolutely just set now. I mean, you've got people like Charles Olivant not getting in the team. I mean, there was an injury, of course, but he's not in that team. And you know what? They didn't exactly miss him in that Six Nations. I think they've got a real depth of squad. A couple of these new names coming in, people like Tonga. Really looking forward to see what this can bring. And can they have the potential to actually get in there, challenge people like Aldrit in that number 8 shirt? I think it's really awesome. I think this is going to be a fun series for France. I think if you're maybe not necessarily hardcore rugby, like you're not just going to watch every game of rugby, you just want to watch quite exciting rugby, probably a higher scoring game. I think the France-Japan games, if you can get a hold of them, maybe you're a bit newer to rugby, you just want to see people score some tries. I think France-Japan will be the game for you. And I assume if you're just a French supporter, these will be some really fun games to watch. I imagine there'll probably be quite a few tries. I imagine you won't be seeing this French team go for a great deal of kicks, like penalties and drop goals, maybe in the first 10-15 minutes. But as soon as you get 2-3 tries in a game, you might be able to see it open up a bit. So it'll probably be a bit of spectacle rugby. But there we have it, guys. That is going to be the video for today, looking at the French team. Who is a bit of a surprise that you think got in that maybe shouldn't have? Who do you think's been excluded from this that absolutely should be in the team? Make sure you drop it down in the comments, because I've really been enjoying reading through the comments on stuff. If you enjoyed this video today, make sure you do drop it a like. And if you haven't already, make sure you are signed up to the Predictor series that we have going on Super Brew. There's a whole video about that. You can go check that out and basically go on, log on, do all your predictions and stuff. Join in with the channel, see your own own name in a video. It's great fun. Everyone gets involved. We've already got quite a few people signing up, which is an awful lot of fun. We've still got about a week or 2 weeks left now until the first game kicks off, so you've got a little bit of time, but make sure you sign up relatively soon. I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.